So my name is Ryan Smith, and this is my story. From very early on, had issues with my dad, in that I was a rebellious kid and he was a hardline disciplinarian. I ended up with a lot of anger issues. Yeah, I started to act out violently with vandalism. I attempted to burn down the church and school 4 or 5 different times. I started drinking and using drugs and living as fast as I could. And a friend of mine approached me from high school, from that crowd, and said, I've got a good connection selling drugs. You could make what you make in a 2-week period. You can make that in a day. It sounded fantastic. I mean, there was no reason I could think of not to at that point. And so that's what I started doing. And maybe about 14, 15 months into doing this, living this way, we went, the two of us went one night and sold drugs to a girl downtown. And as soon as we had sold to her, a van and a truck pulled up on us, and all these guys jumped out with bandanas over their faces and guns drawn, and they took us into custody, arrested us. That night that I was sentenced, I sat in the holding cell, waiting to be processed, and I had a lump in my throat, and I was really afraid of what was going to happen next. I remember trying to amp myself up for what was going to come, and I thought it was going to be a violent situation. I thought anything could happen, and as I was sitting there trying to remind myself, that I was all alone, I was telling myself, there's no family in here. You're on your own now. You better toughen up. While I was giving myself this talk, I felt an impression from God, and I know it was from God, that said, I'm in here too. His grace in that moment became real to me. It absolutely overwhelmed me. And I realized that it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter how alone you feel. It doesn't matter if you're in a dungeon. When I got out and started carrying on with normal life, Robin and I started attending the church that I went to as a kid. Over the course of a number of years, we ended up with having 2 more daughters. We had three daughters now. And by the time I had gotten to 2009, our marriage had just suffered so much, and there was no connection left. One morning, I rolled out of bed and got on my knees and again held out my life and surrendered it, confessed everything that I had done, and told the Lord that I would follow Him if He would show me how to manage this life, that I would do everything His way, that I wouldn't make another step or live another day without Him. And that began the beginning. That was the beginning of the healing. And I felt peace, and all the problems didn't go away certainly overnight. It took time, but He has brought us to a place of healing and restoration. At the time, being separated from my wife for it's close to 7 years at that point, and I started taking my daughters to a church, and the Lord just moved the pieces of the puzzle. There's been it again hasn't been easy, but it's been a journey of submitting to the Holy Spirit and trusting not on my own understanding, and it's been a healing process for us and our family, and there's been so many miracles and so many victories.